Hi, my name is Jens Kafitz and I am the developer behind Mari Extension Pack. In this video, we will take a look at the many new features as well as small improvements that Extension Pack 6R3 brings to Mari's Nodegraph. If you are working with materials from the shelf, the drag and drop process has been improved. If you do not have anything selected in your Nodegraph and you drag a material in, you will get the material created as a single node as you would expect it to happen. Now that I have a material already selected, dragging a second material in though will automatically combine those two materials with a multi-channel merge node. If I select the new merge node and drag in a third material, we will again create a new merge and connect it. Using this system, you can quickly layer together materials without the need to manually create those merge nodes. While on the topic of merge nodes, Extension Pack's Smart Merge node creation has also been updated. Smart Merge is mapped to the Nodegraph hotkey M and intelligently creates nodes based on your selected context. If you have 1, 2, or 3 regular nodes selected, the function will create a standard merge node and connect the nodes. If you have a multi-channel node such as a material, multi-channel breakpoint, or merge node selected, it will automatically connect a new multi-channel merge node. If you have 4 or more nodes selected, it will combine those nodes using mixer nodes. In addition to this existing functionality, you can now also use this feature with your smart materials. Create a new material and then open the material's subgraph, for example by pressing the hotkey I. Then select the output nodes you want to attach a merge node to and press M, which will create a multi-channel merge node connected to those material outputs. Afterwards, you could then, for example, use the new drag and drop behavior to add materials to the chain, allowing you to more easily create smart materials that are grouped inside a material container and hiding their Nodegraph complexity. With this new version, Extension Pack adds a context-sensitive variation of marking menus directly onto individual nodes. These new node context menus can be opened by pressing the hotkey Ctrl and space while a node is selected. The menus expose tools and options related to the selected node, and Extension Pack ships with many pre-authored menus. For example, on paint nodes, you can use the menu to easily fill the node with black or white. On bake points, we can trigger or delete the baking without having to go to the node properties. On merge nodes or blend mode nodes, we can adjust the opacity of the node. On tiled, triplanar, and similar nodes, we can adjust size and repeat. And the list goes on. Extension Pack's material presets come with even more in-depth context menus, exposing pretty much all of their parameters directly in these menus. All existing context menus are listed in the online help, so if you want to learn about every single available one, check out the list of default context menus inside the Nodegraph topic in the online documentation. Context menus can also be authored by yourself and registered to certain nodes, and we cover this also in a step-by-step guide in the user guide. A long overdue feature is the new mask from Selection tool. You can find here in the right mouse click menu or on the shortcut Alt and M. You will be asked to specify the resolution and depth of the mask, and then the tool will create a new paint node with a black and white mask for you. A simple but very handy addition. Another little optimization is the new Connect To dialog that can be found here in the Connections menu or on the hotkey Shift and R. For many of you, this hotkey will be familiar as it is Extension Pack's default shortcut to connect a radio node to a radio transmitter node. The tool is now working context sensitive, so with a radio node selected, you will be asked to connect to a radio transmitter as before. If, however, you select a teleport receiver node instead, you can choose the broadcast channel name to connect it to. If you select a teleport broadcast node, you can directly edit the broadcast channel name. It transmits its data onto receiver nodes. Finally, if you run the tool with a geochannel node selected, you can choose which geochannel the node should connect to. All of this functionality is combined under the single Connect To action that can be used with Shift and R. Next, let's take a look at the many new options we have to lay out, align, and distribute nodes in the Nodegraph. If you want to move nodes constrained to an axis, you can now press the hotkeys Ctrl and Shift and use this arrow widget to move the nodes. If you want to deactivate this behavior, you can do so in the Nodegraph tab of the Preferences by unticking this Allow Node Sliding checkbox. Extension Pack's Quick Align tools have also been updated. If I select a node, hold down hotkey Q and move my mouse to the left or right, the node will snap next to its connected node, creating a clean line. If you are unfamiliar with the Quick Align tool, you can use it to align one or multiple nodes to each other. If only a single node is selected, the alignment will be aware of the ports the node is connected to and step through the different positions. To deal with completely separate node streams, there is an alternate alignment method available on the hotkey Alt and Q. I have two separate node streams here. Doing a normal align with pressing Q and moving the mouse up moves all nodes from both node streams to the top, which is not what we want. For cases like this, the Alt and Q hotkey is useful, which will recognize the separate streams and align each stream separately. A new addition in Extension Pack 6R3 is now that this alternate alignment also works with single nodes per node stream. So here we have separate node streams on separate ports. Now when I align one node of each stream and do Alt and Q, each node will correctly align to the port it is connected to. Extension Pack 6R3 also adds various improvements to dot nodes. If I have a node with connected dot nodes that share the same source port, you can use the previously mentioned align tools to merge the dot nodes. If you pull a connection line away from a port and keep holding the connection, pressing the dot hotkey now also allows you to continuously add dot nodes to create paths. If you double tap the dot hotkey, the created dot node will auto-align to the last created one, resulting in nice 90-degree angles. Another tool for dot node creation is the new auto dot input connections, or the hotkey Alt and Dot. The tool uses a pathfinder algorithm to try and create dot nodes for your selected nodes, so your node graph follows a cleaner connection layout. You can cycle through different algorithms by repeatedly executing the tool, and you see the current algorithm used in this notification that pops up. If you ever need to update those dot nodes because one of your nodes moved, simply rerun it, and the position of the previously created dot nodes will be moved as well. Sometimes having any connection line at all between nodes is not wanted, and instead you want a radio node or teleport connection. To help with this, we now have an easy way to convert connections to radio or teleports. If you select one or multiple nodes and go to the Connections menu, you will find a bunch of options in this Convert submenu. The options at the bottom here are convenience options to directly execute a certain command. However, all of these options are combined in this Convert Connection option, which opens a dialog allowing you to set what and how to convert the connections. You can see here on the right, my nodes have a lot of output connections. So let's select that I want to convert output ports. I want to convert them to a radio connection, so I can leave the standard setting. The minimum node distance option allows you to set how far apart nodes need to be to get their connection converted. Now if I click convert, you can see the output was converted to a radio transmitter, and radio nodes have been created at the original connection points. Next, let's move on to a new feature that will help you improve your general performance when working with materials in the node graph. If we open the right mouse click menu, go to the miscellaneous section, and in there open the Optimize menu, you will find a new option called Optimize Multi-Channel Connections. Apart from this menu entry and a somewhat clunky hotkey, this option is also available in Extension Pack 6R3's new node context menus. So if I select a shader node, such as this Arnold shader, press Ctrl and space, you will find an entry called Optimize Connections there as well. The option will non-destructively disconnect ports of multi-channel nodes such as materials, multi-channel bake points, and merge nodes that do not belong to a node stream terminating in a channel. If we take a look at this Arnold shader, we can see we have a lot of options to map different attributes. Creating an Arnold material will create the same number of ports also on the material. Adding a multi-channel merge node will then again add the same number of ports. Oftentimes, you will only use a small handful of connections though to define your material. For example, the diffuse color, specular roughness, bump, or displacement. and all of these other connections are just overhead. Here I have a simple setup with two Arnold materials combined via a multi-channel merge node. If I dive into the material subgraph by selecting the node and pressing hotkey I, we can see I only have some tiled nodes attached to 3 ports: diffuse, roughness, and bump. However, all the other ports also have nodes attached to them to map their default colors. If I take a look inside the multi-channel merge node, we can see a similar setup to merge the two materials with merge nodes attached to all possible material connections. The output of the multi-channel merge node is then feeding all ports of the shader with the information from my node setup, so either my tile textures or the default colors assigned to the port. That means that even though I only really care about my diffuse, roughness, and bump, I'm still evaluating a lot of other nodes to display the full shader without having any benefit from it. I could manually break the connections of ports I'm not interested in, however that is slow and tedious. This is where the new multi-channel optimizer tool comes in. I'm going to create channels for the ports I'm actually using in the shader. A convenient way to do this is selecting the shader, pressing Ctrl and space, and choosing the Create Channels option. In this dialog, I will just activate the diffuse, roughness, and bump channels and leave all others off. To preview what will happen when I optimize my connections, let's expand these material nodes. Then again, select our shader and choose the Optimize Connections option. You can see my connections feeding into the shader remain intact. On the other hand, all connections feeding multi-channel nodes have been reduced to only utilize ports that are actually connected to my newly created channels, greatly reducing the number of nodes I will evaluate in my viewport. If we take a look at our frames per second on a real-world example, we can see the difference. We gain about 50 frames per second without changing the look in our viewport. The Optimize Connections option runs non-destructively, so can be executed at any point in time. If I add an additional channel in front of the shader, then rerun the tool, you can see how the previously disconnected connection gets rebuilt automatically on all connected materials and merge nodes, allowing you to reduce or increase the number of material outputs you are using easily. In previous versions, Extension Pack introduced the concept of image annotations or stickers, allowing you to embed images into the Nodegraph. You could, for example, use Extension Pack's sticker library to visually document your Nodegraph or add viewport screenshots to illustrate what result parts of your Nodegraph generate. Extension Pack 6R3 takes this now one step further by adding the Sticker Designer. The Sticker Designer is a full paint tool, so you can scribble in your Nodegraph or edit existing stickers. If you want to edit existing stickers, simply select them and launch the Sticker Designer, then lift these stickers into the editor via this dialog. Inside the Sticker Designer, you have many tools available mimicking familiar Photoshop workflows. You can add paint strokes or arrows, paste reference from the clipboard, add text, vector shapes, transform layers and stickers, and much more. Once done, simply commit these stickers back to the Nodegraph to exit the tool. A separate, more in-depth tutorial covering all the Sticker Designer's functions is linked in the description of this video, so feel free to check that one out if you want to learn its functions in detail.